Boom. What is up, guys? Today, thanks. I'm starting a little bit early, by the way. And if you're on Twitter, I'll pop it up here in just a second. But I got my BFF in trading live. I'm going to bring you up, big dog. I'm super excited.
Ooh.
There he is. There's my boy, Ace, the man, the myth, the legend. What's up, dude? I got a case of the Mondays today. How you doing?
Got a case of the Mondays too.
Yes, I'm just waiting for the market to get their case of the Mondays, basically. So we'll see. Just kind of hopping around. By the way, if you guys are new, I'm starting early. It is what it is. Just felt like I want to get this out of the way before we really hit our hour today. So I got a feeling, I got this really weird feeling that it's going to get a little funky out there. So anyways, thanks, Ace, for jumping in. For anybody else that's new, what we do, I don't like to trade Monday mornings, really. Like, I'm very teeny tiny sizing. Monday is like my worst day of the week. Monday morning happens to be one of Ace's best days. But yeah, I think
Not today.
The lull that we're just coming out of right now during the lunch hour, it's a good time. I start to plan out my week, almost like every job that you've ever had. You kind of have like your team meeting every Monday. And what we're going to do is just kind of hit this really quick. Let me see if I can get this up and see if we can. There's all right. So title of this was the High Holy Days. And if you don't know what that is, there was this thing called there's a saying, sell Rosh Hashanah, buy Yom Kippur, right? You familiar with that, Ace? You got it.
Yeah.
But if you did that the last few years, and I don't have a screenshot of it, but over like the last 50 plus years, I think this time, basically, it's like a 10-day period, give or take. The market trends down historically, statistically. Don't let that sway you, because I will say, whenever we've had such a green year so far for the year, we're up whenever we're up over 15% in the first 6 months, this historically seasonally bearish time of year isn't really that bearish. So I would get my shopping list ready for sure. And I'll personally probably be buying by the end of the month. But I want to get this FOMC out of the way. So we have a huge week. Really, it's the fireworks are going to come on Wednesday. I have this really weird feeling also, though, that we might be heavily anticipating this FOMC, and it might be just a giant nothing burger. That's always possible. So you never know. I like this view here. I can see my BFF a little bit better. But anyways, a couple of headlines really over the weekend. Just general inflation dragging U.S. household incomes down. If you guys didn't know, there's a big giant UAW strike. I did a space with a buddy of mine, Casey, on Friday, and he started this thing called the Trade Doctor, which is just like a 30-minute, an hour Twitter space on like trade reviews for the week. And I actually really enjoy it. But one of the questions that people had was they were long Tesla because there's potential like new model release, which is true. And they're not affected by the UAW. I was like, right now I came into the weekend short Tesla, believe it or not. But Fridays, we went through some of the price action. Friday's close, honestly, wasn't that great. Just not able.
As I'm currently short on Tesla.
Yeah, as Ace is currently short on Tesla. I mean, if you were long Tesla yesterday, you probably don't want to be long today. We do. If you go to the YouTube channel, there's a video on how to trade gaps, and there's a very really easy video that you can just watch. We have gap rules on what to do when a stock gaps. There's a couple of them that we can look at today, just as a quick aside. That might be possible continuation plays. Tesla is one, Nvidia is another one. Nvidia had a huge red open today. I mean, nasty red open, and actually has since filled that gap. I haven't looked at it yet, but that's a different way to trade. There's two different ways to play it, right? And Nvidia actually could be, let me see.
Still basing out Friday's lows.
It actually could be a long, to be fair, right? So Nvidia, giant red gap down, right? Fills the entire gap. If today Nvidia closes above that gap, honestly, it's a long. I just got it. It is what it is. But I'd say like below 435, she's looking short right back to that 420 level, give or take. Tesla, Here, I'll just do this really quickly. See this. Tesla here, it's a different story altogether. I don't know how Ace took his trigger. For me, this was Tesla's just general, still a bit of a longer, excuse all the lines, but this is a general like channel up that Tesla's been in for quite a while, right? And just kind of like breaking back out of. And this was because Friday did not make a higher high and definitely didn't close at a higher level. I wasn't thinking long. At least it would have been a pause on the uptrend, but it didn't continue on, right? So that's what was for sure, is that it didn't continue going to the upside today. And if I just took this, and here's how the gap rules work, right? So you have a close and you have where we are right now. If Tesla's retracement is, we call a half gap, right? So let's say from the, I'll just do regular session hours, close to low here, that yellow line is a 50% retracement. And so what we say for the gap trading rules is if it fills a half gap, that's essentially as close to the gap being filled as you need. And then you can continue to trade in the direction of the gap, which in this case is downside. Definitely if it closes below this 265, give or take level, that's honestly looking swingable to me. But over that 269, give or take, you could potentially fill a full gap, which is exactly what NVIDIA did, right? So same kind of setup, a little bit different price action here. So we have, here's our gap, right? And we go here, here's your half gap right here, right? 428, which happens to be an old downtrend. And so this is broken, retest the downtrend. Because NVIDIA went back above that 50% and continued over that 618, you could expect at that point in time to have the full gap filled, which it did. And then today, the thing is, if it closes above, then it could be, this is one of the gap rules, it would be actually a reversal day. So keep an eye out for that one. It's very possible that this one continues higher, actually. So anyways, those were just two quickies that I didn't see. Let's get back to where we were. So other couple things. Last week, Disney denied a non-existent report of potential sale of ABC assets. That actually gave the stock a lot of life too. And I did go long Disney equity. I was waiting for this. I don't mean options. I mean equity. I don't know that it's ready for options, but that one, I don't think that Iger came out of retirement to really like tarnish his legacy or reputation. I still believe in him, at least in his magic of deal making. But the stock has been short for a very long time, and it got really close to my levels, and I started to nibble at it. And then when this event might have changed the story just a little bit, and that's, to me, it's like Iger coming out again and doing a little bit of his magic. Almost like how, Larry Culp and GE, like it took him, I don't know how many years, like 5-6+ years to really get some momentum and turn that stock around. Iger's, instrumental to Disney's success right now. But yeah, I think that did put a lot of life in there. I don't want to buy it over 85, but I did start nibbling at that stock. I think that's potentially like Iger's stuff coming back out. And then a couple other ones. So we have this FOMC this week, right? That's going to be the biggest thing. That's on Wednesday. We'll go through the calendar. I think I do want to go and look at the CBOE Fed Watch tool in a little bit, which shows you guys how the market prices in and prices out the future rate hikes. Super interesting to me. It's a little bit not so good data, but the probability of a rate hike this week, September FOMC, was for the longest time, it was like 10%, and then it went down to 5%. And right now, I'm pretty positive it's at like near 0% probability of a rate hike this week. And it was at 40% for November or December. And as the data kept coming in, I just kept seeing that probability go down and down and down. I don't know if they're going to hike or not, but what I'd say is, right now, I would see more value buying, going long on the equity market if there was a price hike priced in or a rate hike priced in, but right now there's not. So I'm just like, I'm still a bit on hold right now. Back to that high holy days kind of like time. This is the time where we will see a ton of like low volume whipsaw moves. So like major impulse moves. Ace, do you remember trading this time of year? Like when you were new? You still there?
Yeah, I do.
So like I'll say, most traders I believe are pretty bullish naturally, just like natural bulls. But it's like this specific time of year where I remember like the first time I just got completely caught flat-footed. We have like quarterly taxes coming in. I'm like, why are people using my stocks as like ATM machines, right? Like we're clearly in a bull market, which we were, right? But it's just this pretty volatile time. I don't know if you have any anything to say on the seasonality, Ace, but or how do you trade maybe differently during this time of year?
I play significantly lighter. I don't know about you, but generally, I'll like to trade maybe half of what I typically take, if not like 2/3.
Yeah, I think that's solid.
Just playing it a little bit more cautious. But other than that, like I just
Yeah.
play it as it is. Whatever the market gives me, I'll kind of just take and analyze.
For sure. Like I'm a little bit lighter right now, no question. I do think that I might make a little change also to my personal trading. Like last week, we've had some really good swings that looked like they would extend, and actually, so last week I had AMD 102 puts on early on of the week, and it looked like it was ready to roll. And then one day it just like ripped face, like straight to the upside, almost out of nowhere to me. And I was like, oh crap. So I think that one adjustment I'll probably do, because I do swing trade, would actually be to take like 80% of my swings down almost like out of the gate, if that makes sense. And swings, by the way, for me are opening at the close, closing the following day or days sessions, usually closing in the morning. I would suggest maybe taking a look at your personal trading records history, at least recently, and maybe you might be able to save yourself a little bit if that does happen to be the case. Like I took SMCI short over the weekend, and had I not covered 80% out of the gate, that one I have a little bit left. I don't even know where it's trading, but that one might have been a loss if I didn't. Yeah, well, it's about to where I entered. But anyways, I would have lost all my profits, like poof, gone. So that's a tough one. And then we had ARM IPO come out last week, which is probably like the most significant thing in the near term. Kind of gives the appetite. Really, just is there appetite for IPOs anymore? What's investors kind of like sentiment in terms of being a little extra risky? I was thinking short semis because of the ARM IPO. And then what happened was when the IPO got priced, it was priced really high, towards the high end of the market, which made it a bit expensive. And so that day, I think when the ARM IPO pricing came out, it was AMD and NVIDIA kind of ripping to the upside because, okay, well, maybe ARM's not so exciting. I don't need to sell on my AMD or NVIDIA. And then today it's really, really interesting price action. And they actually released options on ARM today. So if you didn't know, ARM options are available to trade. They're pretty liquid. I did grab me a little nibble on some. I'm probably going to swing because they're only, they listed the October.
Expiration for October.
Expiration, yeah. So there's no September yet. But I'll tell you what, there's a ton of volume on that already. So we can check out the chart in a little bit. Just really quick, earnings season pretty much over, so that's kind of done. A lot of the bears, if they were looking for kind of like that deceleration of earnings, it's not really there. Oh, I got to change this chart up a little bit. Who did miss? Let's see. Walgreens. I don't have Walgreens. Walgreens missed. Nike missed. Goldman missed. Travelers and Dow. Those are the ones that I didn't hit up here. But yeah. Those were pretty much the big ones. I think Nike is the one that's just still in like this epic downtrend. I was looking at Starbucks for a little bit to follow suit, but I think Nike was probably just the short to ride on that one. I think it's like 95 today. Something gross.
What's your cost basis on that?
What's that?
What's your cost basis on Nike?
I don't own Nike. Yeah, I took it short. Yeah, I took it short up here. I think I shorted this day. right, and got this move here.
That's beauty.
But it bounced, and I didn't re-enter. But look at this thing. So yeah, the chart does not. That chart looks broken right now. It does not look good. I mean, is it a value trap? It's probably a value. Yeah. I mean, you have to go all the way back to what is this? This is like 2000 levels, 2020, which at this point it looks like we'll see sooner than later, which would be sub 90, just sub 90 on this guy. So I don't know. I think there's some fundamental things going on there. I'm not really familiar with the fundies on this one, so I can't really speak to it from an investment perspective. Not just yet. Yeah, this was the SMCO one. So, but usually what I'll do, so what I want to do here, one last one before we go through it, is just really like, what do we have up on the calendar for this week? So today we really didn't have a whole lot of anything, just housing market index. I don't think the housing market really moves, not the index doesn't really move anything in terms of market direction right now. Building permits probably not going to be anything either. But Wednesday, all I can say is, again, Wednesday is going to be the biggest day of the week. So I think all eyes are going to be on that one. What I'll do here, so this screen, if you can't see it, this is just a basic. I just use trading economics. I know some other people use, what's the one that you use, Ace? Market Watch. It doesn't
Market Watch and investing.com. It's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same. But what I would say is, somebody asked me the other day is like, how do these fundamental type events affect the market? It's very similar to like earnings, right? So if you're trying to trade stocks based on earnings estimates and things like that, you're always like, okay, well they beat and they raised, but the stock goes down. Like, what's the problem, right? The only thing that matters, right? And when you're looking at this kind of data, the only thing that matters is where the consensus is and where things actually come in at. So if there's a difference, like if there's a big difference between the consensus, not previous, but the consensus and where the data lands, that's what will move the market. So again, really nothing for today. Really not much for tomorrow. Again, there is housing numbers. I just don't think that it's not moving the market right now. So not to say that you don't have to pay attention to it. It's there, but I just don't think it's be a market moving event. The biggest one is this FOMC interest rate decision. So this is where if the market's expecting that consensus, right, comes in at 5.5, which is exactly where we are. The market's expecting that there's not going to be a rate hike or decrease. If there is of any flavor to Wednesday, that will be a market moving event. If not, it's likely just going to be kind of like, listen to his commentary. And I'm just going to pull this up. So this is all I did is Google CBOE Fed Watch Tool. And this is what I want to show. So I go to this compare tab here. And it's pretty funny. We're like, this is on last month, there was an 11% probability that we might have a 25 basis point increase. And every day since then, we've gone down to less and less and less of a probability. So we are 99% probability that the market is currently pricing in. So if it's not exactly the same come Wednesday, then there'll be a big thing. I think that what's more important here is not for September's forecast, but really November and December. And this is the same thing. So so this went up a little bit. So for December, last week we were at a 35% probability, and now it's going slightly higher to 36. So it was near 40 for December and about 40 here for this is November. And so this is what was just like, as the data was coming out, the market was pricing in less and less of a probability that we would get any kind of a rate hike later on. And it's almost like no chance. Yeah, this market is like a 30% probability, near nothing. And no rate hike decreases. There's a 30% probability of a decrease, not till June. Yeah. It doesn't come in until June, but the market's starting to price in some kind of decrease of next year. So market's not expecting much. So if we do get something, that will probably shock the market for sure. And then jobless claims, again, pretty much been static. This is Thursday. I don't think it's going to really matter a whole lot. But moving forward through the calendar, it's just going to come down to that Wednesday. It might be pretty sketchy Wednesday. Again, low volume type sell-offs or rallies, open to either. But I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into it because honestly, right where we are, it could easily go either way. I think we was looking at the charts last week. It was just like one day changes the entire look of everything right now. But just really quick, where we are. So last week I was coming in and I was really looking at this 344 level right here. Not last week, but the week before. Sorry. That the bulls were really defending. And I was looking at this as like, this is exactly where they would absolutely have to defend to keep a bullish thesis. And honestly, really early in the week, they did. We just tagged that 344 level one more time. And I think that where we are, this is exactly the same spot that we're going to be dealing with. We're just dealing with it coming from the upside right now, rather than coming from the downside. So, so there is that. I do have a bit of a uptrend that's been clearly broken. And we have a session gap from Friday that's out there. So maybe mark that really quick. But I use my NFP levels and it was just pretty clean for me. Last week, it was like, here's my September NFP high. So first Friday of every month, you get what's called the non-farm payroll number. And to me, that actually determines the direction or the trend rather. That determines the trend for the entire month, every month. You can backtest it. Ace, you probably never even heard this before, but this is 100% backtest. It's not like 90. It's 100% backtest. But what I was looking at was this is Thursday coming in. I'm like, oh, okay, this is almost like my highest value short. I was thinking, so this is that 449 level, all week, that first week of September. Dealt with it, battle, finally failed, right? It's a clean short. And then I just go to the next non-farm payroll level, which happened to be 446, and then 442, which we did hit. I can take this one down, which we did get pretty close to. And that just comes from, this is how these candles work, right? And so as we were running up into that prior kind of like overhead resistance, I was trying to find, where can I find one that looks super similar? And this is February. I had to go all the way back to February where it's like, here's that non-farm payroll level, battle. Never got a clean open and close. I need a clean open and close above or below that level. Otherwise, I'm just thinking total trend day or chop for the month inside of that range, which is, again, 100% accurate. But the closest thing I was able to get was really just this February one where we knew it was a short. Once we got this close for sure, we knew it wasn't going up once it couldn't continue and we could just trade to this zone. But this is usually, you'll come in and you'll see a bit of a back test. And this day, this is all the way back to February where it looked like it was going to go, but the close was really, it was towards the low of the day. And that following day, it was just a straight like exit stage left. You got like another day of basing, a little pop, and then complete fail. I was looking at this as possibly something that could repeat, just as possibility coming into it. And sure enough, it was just kind of like, wait, but we got this huge gap down again, right below that 449 level where we are. For now, for me, if we do crack like 446 and get a clean open and close above that, then okay, I can trade up to that 449 in that session gap. But until then, I'm going to have a really hard time, right? This is not even, here's your 50% retrace, give or take. Well, here we'll call it from your session gap. And we're just not really dealing with it. And I know Ace and I were looking at this earlier today, and it was really just this, here's the new level to me, right? So if I took Friday and I could say, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. So Friday, after we have this big old sell-off, right? Where did the bulls step in? And they step in right here at 444, right? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a quick line right here. I don't know, Ace, if you have a different line, just shout at me.
That's literally the exact same thing I have.
So it's exactly right here, 442 spot 27, right? That's where they stepped in. So they really need to, the bulls have to hold this. They have to hold the close above this to keep a bullish kind of trend in the market. Otherwise, it's just not. And the real level is like, okay, that's where they stepped in, but where did the bears step in? It's right here, right? So right here, this is actually 445 and change. I can draw this all the way across, and if you guys look at this, this is a pretty heavy level too, right? So any of this is now my overhead, call it supply, right? And so this is more of a, to me, and that's towards that August NFP level at 446. If I do get the opportunity to short up here, that's more like my real value short. If we get that, it's obviously not right now. It might even be like tomorrow morning if we do gap up. But that's what I'd be looking at from a swing trading perspective, and just a general. I think the point of this is just to give you general direction, right? So what's going on in the market? I think that blue line is like a anchor view up from something. Jeez, I don't know. I hate trade views. It's all funky. But yeah, if we get below that level, I mean, I think we're short right now anyways. We essentially just filled this fair value from Friday right there. Do you do weekly targets at all, Ace?
Yes and no. It depends how lazy I am. I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah. So this is what I usually do. So this orange box here, this is an average week's range on SPY. And like, honestly, it's pretty accurate, right? So if you did just the last 5 days, right, that's essentially where we've been trading within an average week, pretty much every time, right? So like, here's a weekly candle, and here's my orange box. We've been inside an average week's range almost every week, right? We had 3 weeks ago, we extended, but even the ones that feel like a bit much, they're pretty much all well like within that box range. So if I took basically today's high and said, all right, well, it's possible, what's the extension all the way down to the short side, that would, an average week's range would take me really down to 435, and I have a pretty heavy level here. So this week, what I'd say is that if the bulls fail to hold, I would actually start looking right into this kind of order block. I would say a stop at like 438 would be a higher low. It's an NFP level right here. This is July, non-farm payroll high and low. Again, these still stay in play. That's where like a fundamental event, like did we go back in the economy all the way back to July, right? Should we price where we were priced in July, kind of thing. But if we break that 442, we should quickly go down to 4438, which is like a 5-point plus move. That'd be your real trigger short, right? Basically below today's pre-market low. An extension for the week would be probably down to that 435-ish level where you see this consolidation down here, but not anything. If you're extended beyond that, we're well beyond an average week's range, and I wouldn't be pressing it. Basically, let's say if we do get a bounce to the upside, just taking today's low, an entire week's range would essentially be filling that session gap. It's basically an entire week session gap. But if we did get there, it would be tough, right? So I'd still be looking at, you'd probably be retesting the bottom of that previously broken downtrend here, which would ultimately be likely a short. But let's see for now. For now, it just looks like we're in chop zone definitively. I'm just locking in a lower high. Are we going short right now?
Chop? What do you mean? Puts on everything. What the hell?
Well, what's true is like if we don't hold that free market high on this level here, we could at least go back to that 443 level.
SPY's really testing it right now.
Yeah, I'm watching it. This is a live chart, so it's like it's a toughie.
Ooh.
Yeah, looks like a bit of a bleeder right now, guys. Not gonna lie. Yeah, if it stops at the opening range though, your orb opening range break, which would be right here, 443, I would probably cut shorts and just like wait for the next trigger. but that's a clean short. How many percent is this? At least I don't trade SPY that much. You're the SPY guy.
Pardon?
What would a trade on this typically get?
What would a trade on this typically get?
You got an idea.
What's the range you're looking at?
This is, how many dollars is this? 4.4.
I mean, on a 0 DT with an hour and a half left, whew,
Oh yeah,
you're looking pretty juicy.
could be. Yeah, there's a nice little fair value that just got created on that
Oh, yeah.
break. So that could be easy fill. We'll see. But it's not a convincing close really for the
No.
Bulls. Even if it does pop up, if it's up to that 445, I'd probably still be leaning short bias right now. But anyways, enough of that. Couple things on the indices. Yeah, everything's looking about the same, kind of locking in lower highs. I would say this week you absolutely want to keep an eye on the Dixie or the dollar. We're a bit toppy right now, so this is the confluence that I'm looking for right now. So if the dollar starts to break out, which it really is trying to right now, but if the dollar really breaks out over this range, and I see bonds or the TLT going down, long-term bonds. Right now, we're putting in a bit of a higher low near that support. Both of these things are Dixie at resistance, bonds that kind of yields at resistance, bonds at support. The setup is where it's basically saying, hey, something's going to happen on Wednesday. After Wednesday, you're probably going to get a real trend move Thursday and likely Friday. So be very careful. And I don't know that they're going to be in the same direction either. A lot of the rest of the indices are setting up really ugly in general. That's IWM, not looking good for your small caps. Crude also topping out. I feel like this is super top heavy here on crude. So we do have a couple things on watch. And I'll just go ahead and move over to that real quick. Ace, are you gonna swing anything? You're not so sure usually.
Potentially swinging this meta, which I opened up close to the open.
Oh, meta. Yeah, so meta.
I'd love to see it under like that 300 mark, that 301 at least, but we'll see. Tesla, I still have.
Here's my box on meta.
Oh yeah, sure.
This was that crazy outside day.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking at too.
Yeah, so it might sound like I'm chasing, but like below that 292, I think it's down to that 292 right now. But inside the box, yeah, you can trade this range.
Yeah.
I think what are you running to? Yeah, pivots again. Everything's just like locking in a little bit higher lows. Or sorry, lower highs.
Yeah,
so
that's across the board.
For the bulls out there. It's everything's in this funky level. Tesla, we kind of went over. Yeah, that looks like a continuation down short. That's triggering right now. Actually, 267.
Oh, excuse me.
This looks good. And whoa. Do you see that crazy session gap?
I do.
Oh, you dog. All right.
I do.
So if you get the continuation down, tomorrow you have a fat, like no trade zone right in that 260 level where I have no trades that were taking place recently. Like it just completely went straight through in my volume profile here. And then you have a huge session gap
yeah.
here to 250, but that's like extensions.
She's just going to bleed out tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it had the bounce, earlier.
She did.
So it was a good long for a minute. I want to look at ARM. So I don't know how ARM's closing today. Not looking good, by the way. I'm going home short ARM. Just saying. It got price of the highs, and today here's that first trade. Okay, it might be a little bit early, but anything below 55, a close below 55.
If it closes below 55, that is juicy.
Yeah, I just feel like it's going to be a quick and dirty straight to. So the $50 puts for October 20th are the ones that I bought, and they're at my buy price right now at 145.
They're still at your buy.
Yeah, well, they were higher earlier, but I just grabbed them just as like I wanted this because it was not looking good.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just seeing a lower high. And you can honestly just take this as day trading right now, right? So if you have here, even all the way up to, what is this, 57, it's like this would be fair value. But this is your prior break of structure. And this would be your first trade, which would be your hard change of character, if you will. If you get close below.
So below that 55 to 55.50, ooh.
Yeah, I remember we were looking at this, just kind of like watching it trade the first day. Here's this volume profile. But yeah, this 57, it just ripped, right? And
Are
so
you seeing
like,
a 2-minute?
I'm just to get to this volume profile. So where you see like there's no sellers in this box right here. That first day.
Oh yeah.
Nothing, right? So sorry. So when I do volume profile, I have it colored. So I see like, oh, there's no sellers that were really able to get there. But this gives me essentially 2 pivots, 59, and then that day's pivot, 58. A couple people got up right away. I flipped around between all the freaking times. So there's my overhead supply right there. Anybody that bought the IPO, like not the IPO, but ARM out of the gate, is basically closing out here. That's how I read it, right? Like if you bought it day one and you wanted to hold it for a swing, you're not going home with it if it's not closing over 57, give or take. At least not right now. Oh, what do we have? Yeah, a bit of another box. We'll see. I still like it. I would like to see it close below that first trade price though, to really trigger. Oxy, last one. So Oxy, we both had on watch. It's a kind of an ugly setup here. So crude, remember this is the crude chart. We're pretty much at the targets. I think a lot of people had this double top here around 93. And there's a bit of overhead supply if I just make a quick line all the way across to here, right? It's a good range trade, essentially. Maybe it has a little bit more upside, but looks like at least a pullback in the near term, which puts something like an Oxy in pretty much like prime sites for a bit of a short-term pullback. So breaking structure today, I'd be looking to find that next lower high for a possible short entry. I got 2 levels, 66, and this would be for like tomorrow. And about 66. If I see a 66 fail, maybe tomorrow, that could be a good short trigger. And that would just fill this fair value to like 65, 64.50, sorry. Something like that. You got anything you're looking at for tomorrow? Or too early?
Too early for me.
Too early.
Too early for me. You know me.
I got space tonight. I think I'm gonna go short arm with Wolfie tonight.
Ooh,
Yeah,
so
this channel up on Oxy just is broken. It was a good run.
That would have been a gorgeous take. I was looking at her as she was sitting on it too.
Yeah. What? It's right here. Shit. Yeah, I don't want to take this yet. Because it could, I guess it could just be a retest of that prior breakout.
And we have crude oil inventories this Wednesday as well,
Wednesday.
right?
Yeah, every Wednesday. Man, they've been dipping in actually. So oil status report essentially here. So I don't know how to get to the like Cushing, Oklahoma one, but where was it? Looks like this was filled. This is like they're dipping into it here, SPRs or whatever, and then I got a little bit of the reverse last week. So we'll see. If it goes up again, I think they're actually importing right now, believe it or not, which is wild. So a lot of stuff on Wednesday. Oil status report, FOMC interest rate decision, super low volume trading. We can see whipsaws all over the place. I think if you got anything out of this, really, if you're a long-term investor, dip buys. If you get near that 435 level, it's probably the low, at least for that week. But I'm still kind of holding out. I wouldn't be super long here. This is kind of like a no man's zone. General trend for the month. I'm showing down still. So we get some bounces, yeah, maybe. Day trade's possible. Ace is short meta. What else do I got? That's it, man. NVIDIA looks like it's gonna close as a long. Actually, yeah, over 440. ARM does not look good. I was looking at AMD. Oh shoot! You guys were all up in the chat. I did not even see that. What's the strategy? Oh, who the hell upgraded Apple? I am short Apple. Too funny. So he asked a question. I was short Apple. Really just looking at, so this is almost the same setup as the market, right? And so I'm looking at, where did the buyer step in? Sure, they stepped in here, but where did the seller step in? It was right here. So I have this little tiny fair value gap. This is from way earlier. This is going to be my stop level. I think, Mondays are literally my worst day. And so like half the time I get caught in a trade on Monday, and, I may close, like you could close it for a loss on the day trade, but more often than not, it's still a good trade for me. So what I would say is, like, it depends on your risk management, right? I'm super small positioned every Monday. I'm probably going to swing this a little bit, but it's possibly, if you get a retrigger tomorrow, like 2 to 3 candle close below whatever that pre-market high is, that's a retrigger short, and I would just look for this fair value to fill 75. I did think it's going to chop inside this range in general, right here for a bit. So it's really stuck. It's not going higher to me unless it cracks over that 180, and then yeah, we could trade to the upside. But until it's over 180, I'm not thinking long right now. Visa, look at that. Yes. All right. A couple of questions. So NVIDIA, I think we went over NVIDIA. A lot of NVIDIA questions. I think we're good. Yes. The two goats. My BFF right there. Ace, where's the new cat? I'm in dog.
That's a good question. Oh,
Ace
he's
covered
just
the
chilling by
cat.
the door.
He found out. He read that they do eat you if you die.
That is facts.
Facts. All right, man. Well, appreciate it, guys. And I think we are good to go. A couple stuff just on watch. I'm interested in that ARM short. That could be a juicy one for sure. So just keep a lookout.
You playing into Power Hour?
Watch that first trade. Yeah, I probably. I honestly, like this. Look at Apple. It's like right at everything. This happens every Monday. We open right into the resistance levels. I'm like, really? Amazon.
We get smoked every Monday. We never learn.
I get most Mondays. So I was looking short Microsoft. So today, a lot of things are running to their 20-day moving average, by the way. So I usually have these as like this gray line right here. So throw it, and this is locked on a daily right now. So 1 day, this 20-day. A lot of things are breaking. Here's like your 50-day moving average have already broken below their 50s. So that's your 50. And are just now starting to. There we go. Dang it.
SPY tapped into that zone again.
Yeah, extend.
Nice
Right, so a lot of stuff, I would look at this 20-day right now. If you're 20 days below the 50-day, just from a basic trend perspective, and it's looking like it's going to reject, these are looking like ideal shorts. So if Microsoft closes below, Microsoft kind of looks like a short right now.
You and your Microsoft.
It looks short.
It does.
I mean, it's this last line of defense filling that fair value. So you don't have to swing it, but if we get it open below that 326.75, there's a huge gap right here, volume shelf. Quick $5. That's a nice day trade. I'd only say if you're swinging on a Monday, it is one of those where just like you got to close pretty much 80+% out of the gate. It's a good day. Just swing Meta. Yeah, so here's Meta running into the 50-day. That's acting as resistance. SPY below. Look, this SPY rejected the 20-day, right? This is what I was talking about. Like, so many things are running to this here where it's like they're just about to reject. But this is not a bullish setup. I was looking for some stuff to base. So Boeing, I just got an alert this morning. I was like, I was wanting to see this this pull back down flush below the 200, which is that red, and run into this support right here. So this is that support, that prior breakout. I'd still give it a bit, but if I see a $200 level on Boeing, I might start nibbling. We'll see. We shall see. What else do we have? AMD was one for me. So I still think in general, overall, so AMD I had on the watch last week, and it was this basic channel right here, these blue lines. And then like it did pop up out of the channel. 105 was my key pivot here, and you could target to the top of that channel. But just Friday, that flush really just broke it below. I am short AMD, and I do think that this one I will swing. I do think that this is one where if I do get an opportunity to buy this one in the low 90s, here's my first, right? Below this $100 level, right? I have a lot of fair value gaps here. So 95, 92 would be like my hard line. But somewhere in here, we got a lot of fair value to fill.
You're gonna be short ARM and AMD. Look at you.
I will be. Might as well just grab some SOXS calls, huh? Or is it SOXL puts? One of the two.
So you buy semiconductors.
But yeah, I mean, that's where I'm like, even this one, right? So where did the bull step in yesterday? Right here. Here. Tried to defend. They're still defending, but they just, like, they stepped in right where they did before, too. So I'm not thinking that this is a long at this point. I'm just thinking that this is technically locking in either a double top or a lower high somewhere over here. But we'll see. That might be a pop in running short. I don't know. That's a tough call. My gut says short.
The first day of the challenge is looking weak, James.
Oh, your sack, huh?
Yeah, but I have a curse on the first day, if a lot of you guys know.
First trade of the small account challenge.
Usually it's first day on the small account.
Oh, first full day?
Yeah, first full day. Because there was another day where I took absolute green, and then the rest of the day was just a bleeder.
Dude, can you just make it like a first full practice day then?
Honestly.
I know. Too funny. Man, those meta puts are actually holding up, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Same with these Teslas.
honestly, I'll probably swing a Tesla. Tesla looks swingable.
You don't like my meta yet? Or do you
I'm
want
already short meta.
under 3? Oh, okay, never mind.
I was short meta. Right. Do you know what? The one we didn't go over? Netflix, dude.
Oh, yes.
So Netflix is a short. This is probably like my best looking short, to be fair. I know it's around a lot, and just like clean off that 445. I saw this 435, kind of run into it. I didn't send the trade. It's been a bit spready, honestly, and it's been moving so wild where I feel like if I sent it through the servers and you don't catch it like the right spot, you could probably get clapped. But this level that it's closing below right now is really dangerous. We do have a lower low. Yeah, this doesn't look good. like at all, actually. And that's really what are we the first full week outside of that consolidation.
We've been big bears for the past like what 2-3 weeks now.
I know. Everybody thinks like I'm a perma bear. I'm like, actually, I'm usually bullish. But when the trend is down, I don't do a lot of pulls. But mostly through my NFP stuff. Yeah, just massive overhead supply. Look, we took this whole ride on Netflix to the upside. Crazy bear, bullish.
That's nice.
All of that.
Yeah.
Did catch that. But now this is the first week. This is a clean weekly close below. That's short. That's a big short. What is that? 380? 380.
Q's loves this pre-market high today.
Oh my god, it's 380, man. I just don't have another way to put it. All right. I think that's a bet. That's a good set. Duke will probably snag it though. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you showing up, dude. Hung long enough. You rock, dude. And I miss you and I love you. And I will see you. I'll see you soon.
Watch, I'm just gonna follow you anyway. Later.
Later.